What if I told you secrets about dinosaurs that nobody ever told you? Secrets that would completely change the way you see these magnificent creatures. Forget everything you think you know about the Oviraptor. This wasn't just another dinosaur wandering the ancient plains. This was a misunderstood genius of survival, a creature whose daily life was filled with drama, danger, and decisions that meant the difference between life and death. Picture this. The sun rises over what we now call Montana, casting long shadows across a landscape that looks nothing like today's world. The air is thick, humid, carrying scents of unfamiliar plants and the distant calls of creatures that would make your heart skip a beat. And there, emerging from a carefully concealed nest, is our protagonist, an Oviraptor, about 6 feet long, covered in a magnificent display of feathers that shimmer with iridescent blues and greens in the morning light. But here's what nobody tells you about these creatures. The name Oviraptor means egg thief, and for decades, scientists believed these dinosaurs were ruthless nest raiders, stealing eggs from other species. But that was completely wrong. When paleontologists finally discovered an Oviraptor actually sitting on a nest, they realized the truth. These weren't thieves at all. They were devoted parents protecting their own eggs. Imagine carrying that false reputation for millions of years. So let's follow one through a single day and see what life was really like. Dawn breaks, and our Oviraptor, let's call her Nova, carefully shifts her weight off the nest. She's been sitting there all night, keeping 11 precious eggs warm with her body heat and those beautiful feathers. Her mate, a slightly larger male we'll call Striker, has been foraging nearby, and he returns now with their morning ritual. He brings her food, a collection of small lizards and insects he's caught in the pre-dawn darkness. This is where things get interesting, because Oviraptors weren't the predators you might imagine. Yes, they had that distinctive beak, powerful and curved like a parrot's, but it wasn't designed for tearing flesh. It was a tool, a multi-purpose instrument for cracking, crushing, and processing a variety of foods: nuts, seeds, shellfish, small prey. These were omnivores, adaptable and intelligent. Nova takes the food gratefully, eating quickly while Striker takes his turn on the nest. This is partnership. This is cooperation. And in a world where a moment's inattention could mean death, this system kept their species alive. But the eggs aren't the only thing they need to worry about today. As the sun climbs higher, Nova knows she needs to hunt. The nest is hidden in a grove of primitive flowering plants, carefully positioned between large rocks that provide both shelter and a vantage point. But food doesn't come to you. You have to go find it, and that means leaving the nest vulnerable, even with Striker there to guard it. She moves through the landscape with a grace that would surprise you. These weren't clumsy, lumbering monsters. Oviraptors were athletes. Their long legs carried them swiftly across the terrain. Their arms, complete with sharp claws, were held close to their bodies for balance. And those feathers? They weren't just for show. They helped with temperature regulation, with communication, with courtship displays. Nova's first stop is a shallow stream about half a mile from the nest. Here's where that powerful beak becomes essential. She wades into the water, her keen eyes scanning for movement. There, a freshwater clam, partially buried in the muddy bottom. She plunges her head down, grasps it with precision, and with one powerful crunch, cracks the shell open. The soft meat inside is nutritious, rich in the proteins she needs to produce those eggs to feed her growing embryos. But you need to understand something crucial about this moment. Every second Nova spends away from the nest is calculated risk. Because in this world, in this time, danger doesn't announce itself. It stalks, it waits, it strikes when you're most vulnerable. And today, danger is closer than she realizes. About 200 yards away, a juvenile Deinonychus has caught her scent. These were the real predators, the intelligent pack hunters with that famous killing claw on each foot. This one is young, inexperienced, separated from its pack. It's hungry, desperate, and it's been tracking Nova since she left the nest. Nova doesn't know this yet. She's moved on to a berry bush, using her beak to strip the fruit efficiently, storing what she doesn't eat immediately in a specialized pouch in her throat, similar to modern birds. She'll bring this back for Striker, so he doesn't have to leave the nest. That's when she hears it. A sound that makes every dinosaur freeze. the sharp crack of a branch breaking under weight. Nova's head snaps up, her pupils dilating. Every sense goes into overdrive. The juvenile Deinonychus has made a mistake, moved too quickly, given away its position. And now comes the moment of decision that defines survival in this era. Fight or flight. Nova is no match for a Deinonychus in direct combat, even a young one, but she has advantages. She's faster over short distances. She knows this territory, and she has something worth fighting for back in that nest. So she doesn't run away. She runs toward home, but not in a straight line. She zigzags, uses the terrain, makes herself a difficult target. The Deinonychus gives chase, but it's learning that hunting isn't as easy as instinct suggested. Nova disappears behind a fallen log, emerges on the other side, moving at a different angle. She leaps over a small ravine that the predator has to navigate around. Every second she buys is precious. And here's something remarkable that researchers have discovered from trackways and fossil evidence. Oviraptors were problem solvers. They used their environment tactically. Nova leads her pursuer through a dense thicket of plants with thorny stems. For her, with her feathers and smaller size, it's merely uncomfortable. For the Deinonychus, with its exposed skin and larger frame, it's painful, disorienting. By the time they're through it, Nova has gained crucial distance. She bursts into the clearing where the nest is hidden, and Stryker immediately understands. He rises from the eggs, positioning himself between the nest and the direction Nova came from. Together, they form a defensive wall. The juvenile Deinonychus appears at the edge of the clearing, breathing hard, bleeding from scratches. It assesses the situation. 2 adult Oviraptors, alert and ready, defending a position. The risk versus reward calculation doesn't work out. With a frustrated hiss, it turns and melts back into the vegetation. Crisis averted. But the day isn't over. This is the reality that nobody shows you in museum displays. Every day was survival. Every meal was earned. Every sunset reached was a victory. Nova and Stryker switch positions again. He goes to forage now, while she settles onto the nest, her heart still racing from the chase. She arranges the eggs carefully with her snout and feet, making sure each one is properly positioned for heat distribution. And as she sits there, she does something that would look strangely familiar to anyone who's watched a modern bird. She talks to her eggs. Low-frequency sounds, vibrations that pass through the shells. Recent research suggests that many dinosaurs, especially theropods like Oviraptors, communicated with their unhatched young. The embryos inside could hear her, could recognize her voice patterns. When they hatched, they would already know their mother. The afternoon brings different challenges. A group of Oviraptors from a neighboring territory passes close by. In the complex social structure of these creatures, territory boundaries are important but not absolute. Nova watches them carefully. There's a hierarchy here, subtle signals of dominance and submission expressed through postures, feather displays, and vocalizations. The lead female of the passing group, larger and older than Nova, approaches. This could go badly. But instead of aggression, there's a moment of communication. A specific call, a particular way of holding the head. Information is being exchanged. Where food is plentiful today. Where a predator was spotted. Where water sources are clean. This is the part that would blow your mind if you could witness it. These dinosaurs had culture. Not in the way humans do, but information passed between individuals and groups, learned behaviors that went beyond pure instinct. The group moves on, and Nova relaxes slightly. But she remains vigilant. As the sun begins its descent, Stryker returns with more food, and they share another shift change. This time, Nova's foraging takes her to a different part of their territory, an area where the soil is rich with a particular type of clay. She doesn't eat the clay exactly, but she does consume small amounts. Why? Because it contains minerals essential for shell formation, for her own bone health, for the development of the embryos. Here's the science nobody explained to you. Dinosaurs like the Oviraptor had to manage complex nutritional needs, especially during breeding season. They self-medicated, sought out specific minerals and compounds, regulated their diet with a precision that required genuine intelligence. While she's there, something else catches her attention. Movement in the sky. A large pterosaur circling. These flying reptiles weren't directly threatening to an adult Oviraptor, but they were opportunists. An unguarded nest? That was fair game. Nova memorizes the pattern of its flight, notes how often it passes over her territory. This information will be useful. She returns to the nest as twilight approaches, and now comes one of the most fascinating parts of their daily routine. Both parents are present, and they work together to reinforce the nest structure. Using their beaks and feet, they adjust the mound of earth and vegetation that surrounds the eggs, ensuring optimal temperature for the night ahead. But they also do something else. They communicate extensively. Calls back and forth, touches with their snouts, preening each other's feathers. This isn't just pair bonding, though that's part of it. This is information exchange. Stryker tells Nova, through a combination of sounds and gestures, about what he observed during his afternoon forage. She does the same. They're building a mental map of their territory, updating it daily. Night falls, and Nova settles onto the nest for the long watch. Stryker will sleep nearby, alert for any sounds of danger. The nocturnal world is different, filled with different predators, different sounds. Small mammals, some as large as a house cat, scurry through the underbrush. These are no threat to adult Oviraptors, but they're competitors for food, and they need to be kept away from the nest. Nova shifts her weight periodically, keeping blood flow to the eggs consistent. She's been doing this for weeks now, will continue for weeks more. The dedication required is enormous. In a world without grocery stores, without shelters, without any safety net whatsoever, choosing to be a parent meant committing everything to the survival of the next generation. And then, around midnight, something extraordinary happens. Nova feels it first. A tiny movement beneath her. Not the subtle shifts she's used to as embryos grow, but something deliberate. Stronger. One of the eggs is beginning to hatch. She doesn't move away. Instead, she stays positioned, keeping the egg warm while the infant inside works to break free. This process can take hours, and it's dangerous. The baby is vulnerable, exhausted from the effort. Predators can smell the amniotic fluid. This is a critical moment. Stryker wakes immediately, sensing the change in Nova's posture, her alertness. He positions himself at the edge of the nest, scanning the darkness. Both parents are now on high alert, and this is the moment that changes everything you thought you knew about dinosaurs. Because when that baby finally breaks through, when its small head pokes out of the shell, covered in wet down, eyes closed, completely helpless, what Nova does is gentle. She uses her powerful beak with incredible delicacy to help remove pieces of shell, to clear the membrane from the baby's nostrils. She makes soft sounds, encouraging it, guiding it. This isn't a monster. This is a mother. The baby, exhausted, nestles against her belly feathers, seeking warmth. And Nova settles back down, continuing to incubate the remaining eggs while also keeping this first hatchling safe and warm. By dawn, 2 more eggs have hatched. The nest is now home to 3 tiny, vulnerable lives and 8 eggs still waiting their turn. The workload for Nova and Stryker has just multiplied exponentially. Those babies will need food almost constantly. They'll need protection. They'll need to be taught how to survive in this unforgiving world. The Oviraptors' day isn't over. As the sun rises on this new reality with 3 hatchlings and more on the way, Nova and Stryker face their greatest challenge yet. Keeping this family alive long enough for the babies to grow, to learn to eventually start the cycle again. So here's what I want you to think about. We followed one day in the life of an Oviraptor, but really, we've witnessed something universal. The struggle to survive, the drive to protect, the complexity of family. These weren't simple creatures mindlessly following instinct. They were individuals with personalities, with preferences, with the capacity to learn and adapt. The next time someone tells you dinosaurs were just big, dumb lizards, you can smile and know better. You've seen the truth. You've spent a day in their world. And it was beautiful, terrifying, and absolutely real. Which brings me to you. Yeah, you watching this right now. I want to know something. If you could spend a day observing any dinosaur, which would you choose? Would you follow the massive Argentinosaurus on its migration? Would you watch a pack of velociraptors hunt? Would you observe the nesting behavior of a Maiasaura colony? Drop your answer in the comments right now, because your choice might just become our next episode. And here's another question. If you could ask one question to a dinosaur and somehow get an answer, what would you ask? Think about it. What would you want to know? What mystery would you solve? Tell me in the comments. But we're not done yet. Because what we've explored today, this window into the past, it raises an even bigger question. What if scientists could recreate the Oviraptor today? Not science fiction, not fantasy, but using real cutting-edge technology that exists right now. What would that look like? What could we learn? What would be the consequences? That's exactly what we're diving into in the next video. And trust me, the answers are going to shock you. We're talking about real science, real possibilities, and real debates happening in laboratories around the world right now. So here's what you need to do. Hit that subscribe button right now, smash the notification bell, because you don't want to miss what's coming next. We're about to explore whether bringing back an Oviraptor is possible, probable, or just plain crazy. And the answer might be all three. Before you go, do me one favor. Share this video with someone who loves dinosaurs, or someone who thinks they're boring. Because everyone deserves to know the truth about these incredible creatures. Everyone deserves to see them the way they really were. Thanks for spending this day with me in the ancient world. Thanks for caring about these magnificent animals. And remember, the past isn't dead and gone. It's alive in every fossil, every discovery, every moment we choose to look back and learn. See you in the next one, where we answer the biggest question of all. Should we bring them back?